That all
To the
being
review.
said, it's time for our review. Zach,
It is.
are
And
you
it's a
ready?
preview.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
it is a
ready. Let's
preview.
go.
It's a preview. Okay, let me switch things. Bammo. There you go. You're good to go.
All right. So I played with Adam. I played 30XX. Oh my God. Every Mega Man neuron in my brain was firing at light speed, which I guess is normal for brains. Like, this game is amazing.
Science class. All right. No.
Yeah. No, so it's developed by Battery Staple Games. Still to be determined on release date, but it is in early access. We played on Steam. That's where it's available for $20 or $19.99, I guess technically. I cannot honestly come up with a thing that I didn't like about the game, other than the fact that there's definitely pieces missing. Paul pointed out
that's
last
the
week.
expected
alpha,
early
so,
access.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it can
Paul
only get
pointed out
better. Yeah. Sorry.
But you're good. Paul pointed out last week that there's still characters you can talk to and stuff that are non-starters. It's just like, come back when the game is finished. And I'm like, okay, fine. I don't care. I just want to play Mega Man. And that is exactly what you get to do. It's procedurally built Mega Man and, roguelike, I guess. There are two characters available, Nina and Ace. I spent most of the footage you're watching behind us is me failing to play as Ace because Ace is way harder than Nina. That kind of bugged me too. I will say that. But not so much that I didn't enjoy my time playing. I like that they give you the option of playing functionally X and Zero. I and Paul and I are both Zero guys. Adam is very much an X guy. So it made perfect sense for me to play as Ace and for Adam to play as Nina. What we discovered is I died a lot because Ace has to get into close combat with enemies where Nina can sit back and shoot them from afar. Also, Nina's upgrades are a lot more tangible than Ace's at the moment. So at one point, Adam had this one power up that let him literally just stand still and take out a boss who was hanging out on the ceiling.
It's ridiculous.
He just stood there.
Here's
and
the
I
thing.
Just stood behind him.
Here's the thing about Mega Man games is like there's always been like a trade-off with playing Zero versus X, right? Mm-hmm. You've got like the risk reward kind of dynamic going on there where Zero is a much higher skill character, but he does way more damage, right? So like it's definitely harder because you've got a sword, and in some incarnations you do have a buster, but it's not nearly as powerful as X's
the
buster.
X-Buster, right?
So you're stuck using his sword or other melee weapons, and typically like I said, the risk is rewarded by having much more power. So it sounds to me like in this game, and I did play it a little bit myself, just to check it out, and I played as the Zero character. I forgot
Ace,
what Ace. That's right. And but I didn't have a chance to check out the X character. But I could tell that there's definitely some serious need for balance.
Ace takes like arguably he has a harder time dispatching enemies. So something I can just shoot with one charged buster shot with Nina, I can't do that with Ace. It still takes two swipes or a charged swipe if I happen to have been thinking about that. In the Zero games, I don't tend to charge up the sword quite as frequently as I do the buster. It's just not the way I play because playing on the Game Boy, that's a very awkward position to hold the controller.
Really?
Also, my shoulder button was busted.
I disagree, man. I've always, no matter what game I'm playing, even on Mega Man on Game Boy, like I'm always holding down the buster button or the attack button, and then you're bumping with your thumb to jump or whatever.
Right. And that's just, I don't know. It's never been something with Mega Man, with classic Mega Man. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm doing.
I do it with Zero too.
With Zero, I for some reason I configured the controls to be the shoulder button for charge, and maybe that was a mistake.
Oh no, that's right. You want the shoulder button to be your dash, for sure.
No,
you want
to charge the gun, charge the weapon.
Okay, yeah, that's
Which
a
is probably a
mistake.
mistake.
That's
I
a
used
huge
one of the shoulders to
mistake.
dash and the other to charge the gun. I don't know.
Yeah,
Whatever.
that's a huge mistake.
But and maybe I'm just completely wrong too. Now I'm thinking about it. No, I definitely use the shoulder button, one of the shoulder buttons at least, to dash. So maybe maybe
Yeah.
I'm just deranged. But whatever, it's fine. So realistically, it's a Mega Man game that has better aspects. So I like this game a lot. Full stop.
Nice.
So yeah, the gameplay was incredibly fun. The art is super tight. It's the same sort of pixel art style that you would expect from any Mega Man game, barring Mega Man 11, I guess. But it's really, really beautiful. Like, someone definitely took a lot of time. They redesigned all the characters for it from 20XX, and it shows. Like, someone really put a lot of time.
That's one thing that I noticed about this versus 20XX is 20XX kind of has like a cartoony aesthetic, almost like an old like Newgrounds game, you know?
Yeah.
And so even though it played like a Mega Man game, it didn't really look like a Mega Man game. This looks much more like a Mega Man game to me.
Yeah, this looks like the source material. And just as a tidbit, the names 20XX and 30XX come directly from the Mega Man franchise.
Right.
Mega Man Classic takes place in 20XX or thereabouts, where the X series takes place in 30XX, and then I think Zero is supposed to be like 31XX or something like that. It's weird.
Yeah,
It's a
It's
timeline.
supposed to be years. Yeah, there is a timeline.
Okay, that's years.
I
Okay.
have
Now I
tried to
know.
understand it, and I'm just like,
I thought the X games were in 20XX.
maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's 20XX and 30XX for X and Zero. I could be wrong. But it's like the Mega Man timeline is so messed up. And there's time travel and stuff involved.
Of course.
I just watched the cartoon, the Mega Man cartoon, like this morning, where X shows up.
You were close. So X is in 21XX, whereas so it's 100 years after the mainline Mega Man game. So mainline Mega Man's 20XX, X is 21XX, and then the Zero games are 30XX. And then I think Zero, whatever the final Zero game, I think that's 31XX.
Oh, Mega Man 04?
No,
or the ZX.
ZX. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Okay.
Yeah.
There we go. Learning and growing. We're doing it.
There we go.
The music is excellent. Like, honestly, I want a copy of this soundtrack on vinyl record, please.
It's really good.
It's so good. So it is still in early access. I've only gotten to like the end of the I've gotten 2 bosses in at any given time. It is roguelike and procedurally generated, which means that every run is different. And much like Hades, I don't feel like end game content is like, even if you reach end game content, it's not the end of the experience. You can still play this over and over and over and over.
It's going to
again.
be different every time. Yeah.
So I'm not like, the average run can range from a few minutes to an hour or so. It, whatever, it's fine. You just play what you play. And unlike Hades, where I can sit down and say I'm going to play a run, I sit down with 30XX and I'm like, I'm going to play for this amount of time, and I can actually like whatever I'm doing at that time, I'm just done. It's fine. Is the game difficult? Yeah, it's hard. I had someone in my chat playing 20XX while watching Adam and me struggle with 30XX, and he was like, "This can't be this difficult." He turned it on, and he's like, "Oh, this is really hard. Now I see why you're dying so much."
Which is crazy because 20XX is also really
really hard.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's fine. It just means it's going to hold my attention for an extra long period of time, which I love. Every Mega Man game is difficult. I mean, they're notoriously difficult, but they hold your time, your attention for a specific amount of time once you know how to beat them. I can beat Mega Man 02 in an evening at this point.
Yeah,
Adam
I can beat Mega Man
X1
5 on the Game Boy in just a couple hours.
Right.
Yeah.
Adam proved he can beat X1 in an evening as well, or like a couple of hours.
I did it
And,
on stream once. I beat X1. Well, I shouldn't say I beat it. I got to the very final boss. I got to Sigma and then just beat my head against the wall for a couple hours.
Right. Yeah, and that's how it goes for me as well.
Yeah.
I know how to do it. I just whatever.
It's
And
just
then I'm just like,
ridiculously
I'm done with
hard.
this.
Yeah.
He's really hard. So 30XX is, again, and 20XX for that matter, are appropriately difficult. And that's great. I'm perfectly there for that. I know it's going to take me a while to get through it. But much like Josh and I were talking about Super Mario 3D World, feeling like you can feel yourself getting better at the game.
Mhm.
This has that feeling where I don't think many of the Mega Man games do.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I don't know about that.
You eventually become better. You do. But I can feel myself getting better at 30XX,
All right. Yeah.
which is a very different thing in my mind.
Would you say that other Mega Man games, you feel, rather than feeling like you're getting better, you feel like you're getting more powerful? Like the trade-off isn't like, it's not like your skill as a player increasing, it's your power as a character in game increasing.
I think that's a huge part of it. Where 30XX, you always start at the same place, and you can incrementally augment that a little bit of in-game collectibles, but it's still you're pretty
it
much starting at the
absolutely
same place.
forces you to get better.
It does. It absolutely does. Especially with the roguelike nature, where it's different every time, and you have to adapt on the fly.
Yeah. I really like games that introduce a new mechanic or item or whatever, and then like they teach you how to use it, and then like push it to the max. So it's actually like a really difficult challenge to use it in some way, instead of just being like, "Here's a bazooka, it lets you blow enemies up, easy now." Like, no, it's like,
no, that's not not adapting.
I like it when each item it adds to it, but also creates new mechanical difficulties in puzzles or whatever in platforming. Or any of
So
those things.
I will definitely be continuing to play 30XX pretty much anytime I have. If I've got 15 minutes, great, I'm gonna play 30XX. If I've got 2 hours, great, I'm gonna play 30XX for a bit of that at least. Overall rating 10.
Damn, a 10. Perfect 10.
I don't give out 10s very easily, but this is a 10
As a preview.
Yeah.
as a preview.
Nice.
So it can only get better, really.
It can only get better. This game is so rad.
I like that we're staying consistent with just having really high scores for
Well,
games.
I gave out a 10
We
last week.
didn't, though. My last review, Jay and Silent Bob, was real bad.
That was our worst one, I think. Yeah,
It definitely was.
So,
But I mean, that should be expected because we're going to be we're playing games that we want to be playing.
Yeah,
that's true.
exactly.
That's true.
If
yeah.
Maybe we should do something where
That was the one thing that I
picks a
liked
game
about our
that
previous
one of us reviews.
format for picking the game of the week or whatever it was instead of us just choosing what game, like that game was basically chosen for you.
Okay, so I have this
now
idea.
that caused some problems. I think our current format is better, but that was one of the things that I liked is that we're playing games that we weren't familiar with. We were going out of our comfort zone. And I actually discovered a few games when we were doing that I never would have looked at that I absolutely love now.
Well,
So
2 years ago for Christmas, RPD gave me Metronomicon Slay the Dance Floor. I freaking love that game. And I did not expect to. He's like, this is
like,
the
Hayden's
FP video game. I'm like, okay, sure, great. This is going to be interesting. And that's another just game. I'm idle at my computer for 15 minutes. I'm going to play a game.
yeah.
That's
It's
like
really
the
fun.
Cadence of Hyrule, right? Wasn't it the original one? Oh, okay,
Yeah.
Honestly, couldn't get into it. I think it's because I wanted it to be a Zelda game. And I was
Isn't there
like,
a
it's
mode
just
that
like-
lets you play it more like a Zelda game?
Yeah, but it's still not really. It's just like
Right.
you're much slower, and then you're like not quite getting that. You're not quite achieving what the game wants you to get.
Right.
It's probably better in its original state, I would say, unless you're like really good at this type of game. But like, I couldn't really grasp it, like because the overworld thing, like, was always yeah,
RPD is pointing out that Cadence of Hyrule was Crypt of the Necrodancer 2.
different game.
That's different. Yeah, and Metronomicon is. Don't worry about it. It's a really goofy game. Just,
Different. Okay.
yeah, it's different. It's like a rhythm game with 4 players. It's very strange.
It's still a rhythm game, though.
It's
right?
definitely a rhythm game.
Different though. Okay.
It's enjoyable.
It's
It's
all
fun.
bad. Don't play into the things we're saying right now.
For 20
Similar
bucks
but
for
different.
early access, 30XX is definitely 110,000% worth the money. I would
Yeah.
pay 40 or more for 30XX. It's so good.
50.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice.
I don't know that I'd go to full. Maybe I would.
I think you'd
Maybe
pay 60.
I would.
I
It
think you'd pay
depends on how
60.
big the game ends up
Yeah.
being.
100?
I would. So here's
If
my
I would
thing.
go as far as full new game price. I
On
think.
the, on the
Yeah.
assumption
That's fair,
that this game is going to improve, I would say you're 100% right.
Yeah.
Because it's pretty rad as is, but there's definitely room for improvement. It definitely has feels like an alpha in a lot of ways. Not necessarily in the gameplay. The gameplay is actually very tight, but there are some things about the game that do feel very early access. But on the assumption that that's all going to be fixed, which I'm sure it will, I think you're absolutely right about that price point. That being said, if it stayed in this state or similar, if they didn't fix some of the balance issues and stuff, that'd be a hard call for me personally.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think, I mean, we know that there's going to be improvements. We know that they're watching, maybe not this show, but I'm going to tweet it out at them. We'll see. But it's so good. It's so good.
Which one's my camera? Is this my camera?
Who knows?
Watch our show.
So in closing, play 30XX, play with me and Adam, play with Paul, play with any of us. It's definitely plays best with 2 players.
Yeah,
which is a very unique thing for Mega Man.
Yeah,
Is it local
That's a single
only?
player only.
Is it only local?
No, we
it's
played.
network.
We played.
Oh, you
fully
played
online.
online.
It's network
What am I
play.
thinking? Oh, well then.
There was a weird glitch where Adam, we'd finish a run and Adam would be like, "Oh, I can't see you anymore," but I was like, "I can see you." But
Some weird
very
graphical.
strange. We ended up playing 1 or 2 runs where he was just reacting to where my sword was because he could see me swinging the sword.
That's weird. That'll definitely get fixed.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
I'm sure it
patched
will.
out.
So
Very cool.
but yeah, game's great.
Right on.
That's awesome.
Awesome
Good.
review. Thank
2
you.
10s in a row. Nice.